Good evening, one and all. Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2025, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 77 years of independence and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 and Viksit Bharat at 2047. In collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Arts, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our session, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations. Today is commemorated as World Sports Journalists Day. Every July 2nd, every year, is celebrated and commemorated as World Sports Journalists Day, also referred to as International Sports Journalists Day. This day was created in 1994 by the International Sports Press Association to celebrate its 70th anniversary. Sports journalism developed during the 1800s but was centered on elitist sports and was more focused on reporting the social context of sports events. In the 1920s, the profession began to take shape as newspapers dedicated more time and space to sports journalism. In 1994, the International Sports Press Association celebrated the World Sports Journalist Day for the first time in the honor of its 70th anniversary in 1924. The AIPS was founded in Paris, France, and as the l'Association Internationale de la Presse Sportive. However, the association is now headquartered in the Olympic capital of Lausanne, Switzerland. The AIPS is an independent organization with 116-member association from which it receives funding through membership fees and the contributions of other international bodies and federations. So, according to its website, the aim of AIPS is to enhance the cooperation between member associations in defending sport and the professional interest of members, to strengthen the friendship, solidarity, and common interests between sports journalists of all nations, and to assure best possible working conditions for members. Sports journalism is a type of writing that focus on sports-centered topics. Sports journalism developed in the 1800s, specifically the 1820s and 1830s. At the onset, reporting focused primarily on allied sports such as horse racing and boxing, mainly targeted at the upper class since newspapers were beyond the reach of the masses. However, the development of the penny press opened the door to affordable newspaper production, ultimately making them more accessible to the lower strata of the society. The 20th century witnessed a massive boom in the popularity of sports journalism. In 1880, only 0.4% of space was dedicated to the sports in newspapers. The figure rose to 20% by the 1920s as newspapers began hiring reporters exclusively for sports coverage. Today's sports journalism utilizes not only print media but also radio, television, and the internet. The era of sports journalism begins in 1820s and 1830s, and the first full-time newspaper, Sports Department, is created in the New York World in 1883. The International Sports Press Association is founded in Paris, France during the Olympic Games in 1924, and World Sports Journalist Day is inaugurated by AIPS in 1994. The AIPS has over 9,500 members in several countries. The president of AIPS is Gianni Merlo. To become a sports journalist, it is advisable to pursue a degree in journalism. Celebrate by paging through a sports segment in a newspaper or magazine. It might feel different from watching live sports, but it might just prove to be a unique experience. Even if you are not a big fan of sports, try watching or listening to sports broadcast to celebrate this day. It's for no reason. It will broaden your knowledge. So spread awareness about World Sports Journalist Day. Use the hashtag World Sports Journalist Day on a post online. So this day recognizes and appreciates the outgoing work that sports journalists do. It shines the spotlight on the honorable profession that is sports journalism. Sports is one thing that unites people all around the world, regardless of race, language, or class. So sports deserve to be celebrated on the inspiring. This day also celebrates the International Sports Press Association. Without them, World Sports Journalist Day wouldn't exist. Today is also commemorated as World UFO Day, which is celebrated on July 2nd every year, only to be a sci-fi enthusiast trying out their ET sleuthing skills, as everyone on planet Earth have to opportunity to celebrate World UFO Day. UFOs have been the stuff of legend for centuries, but it wasn't until the 1950s that freaky flying saucers grabbed national and international mainstream attention. Since then, UFOs have captured the minds of old and young alike, and witness stories have proliferated around the world. World UFO Day serves as a way for everyone to come together and watch the skies on the same night in search of UFOs. But that's not its only purpose. Many see the day as a way to spread knowledge and awareness of UFOs, making a case for their existence and hoping to make disciples out of the dubious. So, why July 2nd? For many, the date represents the anniversary of the famed and all but confirmed 1947 incident in Roswell, New Mexico. Believers claim a UFO crash landed here deep in the American Southwest, but the government have been covering it up ever since. Today is also commemorated as Special Recreation for the Disabled Day, especially in US, which is celebrated every year on July 2nd by acknowledging the importance of recreational activities in the lives of individuals with disabilities. Around 15% of the world population live with some form of disability. It's everyone's right to live with respect, and engaging in some form of recreational activity go a long way in accomplishing that goal. Special restoration can refer to the loads of activities like sports, running, painting, and the performing arts. Historically, people with disabilities have had limited access to the physical recreation, but as society's view of people with disabilities and their rights have been evolving, the topic of physical recreation activities for people with disabilities has undergone a transition, is now seen as a must. The earliest physical recreational activities for people with disabilities were based on medical responses to people's physical needs. Today, however, opportunities for physical recreation for people with disabilities include both therapeutic and non-therapeutic activities. Unfortunately, there is still a major divide in the way society perceives recreation for people with disabilities, represented by big recreation organizations holding either medical or socio-political victims of individuals with disabilities. Rather than assigning the responsibility of looking after the disabilities to the medical profession, the socio-political view suggests that all members of the society are responsible for including people with disabilities in the mainstream. So, some non sports activities can include art and music, painting, sketch, scrapbooking, and even making jewelry can be fun activities with a lot of learning. Playing an instrument, being part of singing group, or even singing alone can be rewarding. Today is also commemorated as National Report Military Fraud Day in US on July 2nd, raises awareness about the extent and implications of military fraud and educates the public on monetary incentives for reporting the same the relevant authorities. Fraud accounts to about 10% of total military spending. Military fraud costs the government around $50 billion out of the $500 billion that has been that the Department of Defense or DoD spends annually. It is hardly surprising that from a fiscal point of view, it poses a grave national problem. It is for this reason the Congress has allowed the Department of Justice to award incentives up to 30% of the total amount recovered through the frauds disclosed by whistleblowers. These may be against any government contractor, any particular program like the military and the Department of Defense, Homeland Security, and Medicaid. Today is also commemorated as National Lint Awareness Day. Occurs every year on July 2nd, highlighting the importance of doing the simple task of cleaning lint from your dryer. This day is dedicated to creating awareness of the possible fire hazard lint presents, as well as general maintenance. This day acts as a useful reminder to get cleaning for your own peace of mind. Today is also commemorated as National Disco Day in New Zealand. This day is a salute to the things disco from the music and dancing to the entire culture of 1970s. National Disco Day is an official observance that focuses on the genre of dance music that wielded significant influence on modern music, developing into an entire subculture over the 1960s and 1970s. In America, while the popularity of the disco declined in America around the 1980s, it only gained popularity in the rest of the world, including the New Zealand. This annual observance is an unofficial day where everyone gets together to celebrate the fun music, dance, and culture that evolved from disco. Disco developed the several influences: Philadelphia, soul, funk, psychedelic, soul, and pop, all inspired dance music in American nightlife. So, disco started as a reaction to the popularity of rock music in the 1960s and emerged as a subcultural response to how the current music was ignored and dismissed by music fans. The music was a mixture of melodies and rhythms played at venues popular with Italian, Hispanic, Latino, and African Americans. Artists in America, Europe extended their genre further, and well-known bands of this time include Boney M, ABBA, the Bee Gees, Thelma Houston, Chaka Khan, and Donna Summer, to name a few. Disco derived from Venus, venues known as discos, began in Europe and were popularized by the American press to become centers of disco culture. Disco music is characterized by synthesized sounds and reverberating bass heavy style. It created a beat driven ambulance that attracted people to the illuminated dance floors and where they could groove through the night. It also gave rise to the fashion style distinguished by bold, flashing colors, dramatic design, and fabrics that shimmered on the dance floor. Clubs started playing phonograph records rather than live music. Disco brought a sense of collective euphoria and a mantling through the music. The dancing and the culture surrounding it and the essence of why genre is so important even today. The sense of a unified joy is worth celebrating, which is why New Zealanders join the fun by enjoying the music and dancing of disco culture every year on an official disco day. Today is also commemorated as National Anthem and Flag Day in Curaçao. Curaçao is celebrated on July 2nd. The island of Curaçao is officially part of the Netherlands but has a separate identity, national flag and anthem. The national flag was adopted in 1984. This day, which is official public holiday, is the country's annual celebrated as the national flag and anthem day. With happiness and pride, official functions and cultural events take place in Plaza Brion and the village of Barber. Curaçao is now independent but remains a constituent country. In other words, it is one of the four parts of countries that make up the Kingdom of Netherlands. Today is also commemorated as Made in the USA Day by consumers and manufacturers as a way of boosting sales for locally made products. The day is observed just before Independence Day when patriotic feelings are at an all-time high, which makes it a great event of great splendor made in USA. The day encourages the manufacturing of goods in America and customers to choose these goods instead of those that are imported from elsewhere. The day also celebrates the companies and brands that manufacture their products in the United States and who offer employment and top quality services to their customers. Today is also commemorated as I Forgot Day in US. Celebrated each year on July 2nd is dedicated to the forgetfulness while we may be surrounded by calendars all around, whether physical or digital. We still forget. Are you prone to forget important dates, occasions, or tasks? Fret not. There's a day you can celebrate that, note it down so you don't forget it next time. So, this unusual holiday was created by Gay Anderson from DeMoty, Indiana. She started this day because there was a period in her life where she was having a hard time remembering simple things. She was known in her core group and extended family to forget her own daughter's birthday every year. Not only that, but she often forgot her wedding anniversary as well. However, instead of being bothered with her forgetfulness, she created this day to just relax and, well, forget. And she also started celebrating her daughter's birthday and wedding anniversary on July 2nd every year. The irony is that she does not remember when she started celebrating this day. So, several people can't remember anyone's birthdays or special events. Some have a list of things they have been meaning to do for the ages, but they simply keep forgetting. However, several factors contribute to this, such as stress, sedentary lifestyle, an unhealthy diet, illness, anxiety, etc. In fact, one of the most unusual causes for forgetting is walking through a door. Some scientists believe that the brain perceives the world as a series of scenes or frames, and passing through a door can make the brain deem the information from the previous room as largely unnecessary. So, this day recognizes people to apologize and make up for all the events and occasions they might have forgotten. And this is a day to put an end to the forgetfulness and create an action plan that will help you not forget. Today is also commemorated as Freedom from Fear of Speaking Day. On July 2nd, the world over in recognition of the fear of speaking in public experienced by many people. People can use this opportunity to discuss this problem and its causes, what they can do to overcome their anxiety about speaking in public and get their thoughts and ideas across freely. This day encourages those affected to come forward and share why they feel afraid and find others who understand the predicament. It also a day for people who share their tips on how to become more confident. So, Freedom from Fear of Speaking Day is observed internationally on July 2nd. Every year, people around the world who dread speaking in public come across together to discuss their fears and find different ways to overcome this drawback. Public speaking or oration is a skill necessary for those who need to communicate with large audience. From classrooms to business, public speaking is a valued asset required in numerous fields and scenarios. Primarily, public speaking or oration is necessary for several reasons. From mentoring people to teaching them to persuading them in some way, a good speech can impact the lives of those who listen to it by informing them, inspiring them, or convincing them to a particular course of action. So, speaking as a formal field of study was developed in ancient Greece and Rome, which characterized the subject under rhetoric. The aim was to change something in the hearts and minds of listeners or persuade them into some acceptance. One of the first teachers of oration of speaking was the Greek philosopher Aristotle. He spoke about the need for prospective speakers to combine the principle of ethos, pathos, and logos, which refer to the credentials, emotions, and logic used to support the content of a speech. Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, and other teachers of rhetoric or the art of speaking were intrinsic in Greek society. Anyone who wanted to succeed socially, politically, or in the court of the emperor needed to be orate well. Even today, speaking is essential to success in most industries. However, many find it very difficult to do in front of audience, leading to the institutional this day, meant to help people become free of their fear of speaking. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations. If anyone has any presentations, you are welcome to come forward for your presentation. If not, we can wind up the session for the day and we can meet tomorrow at the same time with the same journey. So we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form which has been raised in the form of polls. So see you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night.